well, Bari ends up coming back home and he's finding out everything, and he's like, that's it, we're moving into the city. We're not going to do this anymore. But that night, the cult shows up. And I'm going to tell you what happens, but then I'm going to explain to you the twist at the end, and I'm going to tell you how the twist makes a lot of this not make any sense. So the cult shows up and they start like doing their thing, and being all menacing, and they're like all approaching the house, and Bari's angry and he's yelling, you can't have my kids, you can't have my kids, we're gonna stick together, you can't have my kids. But they don't actually attack or anything, and there's like a huge storm raising at the same time, so it's very climactic. But they don't actually attack the family. Now, are there ghostly happenings within the house? Yes. There's multiple ghostly happenings, and I didn't tell you all the ghostly happenings because I want you to watch the freaking movie yourself. So they're all on edge and they're all terrified. And Bari's just being like, macho man, you can't have my kids. And they're running from room to room as doors are like slamming around them. Because again, they don't close their damn doors. So these doors just be slamming. And there is a moment on that stormy night that I thought was interesting, where the family was being attacked by the ghost. They're slamming doors, they're throwing things around, they're all being terrified. And Ustad sees shit going down, and he just like closes the door slowly and pretends he's not there. Like there's this one moment where Rennie's like trying to close, like the window burst open and she's trying to close it, and then something's just trying to pull her out of the window, and Ustad's just like, not my problem, not my problem, which is smart. Because if you mind your business, Ustad, you gonna be all right. But you notice how when y'all don't mind y'all business, y'all be getting involved in stuff and getting hurt. You notice how Hendra was targeted because he wouldn't mind his business. He was all like, ooh, Rennie, I think I saw your mom, and like trying to help her out and all that stuff with all the ghosty stuff. And now Hendra done got. So the Ustad, close the door, go back to sleep. This ain't got nothing to do with you. This ain't got nothing to do with you. And they're all surrounding the house like, come outside, we ain't gonna jump you. Like, it's hilarious. But there's this moment where a door opens and it's like, it's another ghostly figure, and it's trying to suck in through the door, and he's holding on to like the side of the little wall, and he's like screaming out for Bondi, and Bondi's like trying to debate whether or not he should actually save him, because on one hand, he's been having someone whisper in his ear this entire time that he needs to give him up. But at the last minute, he decides to save him, and then all is well. But the cult doesn't actually attack. They just drop a bunch of red beads in the ground, and then they all walk away. So the family's thinking that they overcame everything. They're like, we did it. We survived. Like, we just had to stick together as a family, and now we're all safe. And they're all getting ready to leave the next day to go move into town. Because like Bari said, he's like, we're moving into town. We're getting out of this crazy house with all these crazy happenings. He's rescuing the family by bringing them into town. They're packed everything up and ready. I think the car is supposed to come like in the afternoon. And then cut to nighttime, that car never came. And if that car didn't show up when they were supposed to, I would have found it very, very suspicious. But also remembering, they don't have electricity, meaning they can't call to be like, what's up, car? Where are you? But I would have found it to be very strange that, nighttime comes and you still ain't heard not hide nor hair from them. Like, I would have went over to Ustad's house and like called them to be like, what's going on? But they don't. So the family is like, it's nighttime, and Ustad's over there because he doesn't want to be at home. Why would he be at home? It remind him of, the fact that Hendra's not with him anymore. And they're like, okay, well, because then the plan was they were going to celebrate Ian's 7th birthday in the city. But because that didn't happen, everybody's going to go to bed. And then they're just going to get up at midnight, and then they're going to celebrate Ian's 7th birthday then. Again, you feel the atmosphere of something suspicious is going on. Well, this is when we get into the final part of everything. And literally, as it gets closer and closer and closer to midnight, shit ramps up. So it's not the cult that returns this time. It's all the dead bodies in the cemetery. They all get up and they walk to the house, and they just, again, because don't nobody fucking close their doors. or lock the doors. And I mean, they technically did close the outside doors after everything that happened, but I guess they weren't locked. That or ghosts know how to unlock doors. Because these motherfuckers just walk in the house. They just walk in the house. You would expect in any other movie that to hear the sounds of them banging on the doors or breaking through windows. No, they just in the house while everybody is still asleep. Bondi wakes up and he sees Ian looking out the window towards the cemetery. And he's like smiling, laughing. And Bondi's like, what's going on with you? And then Ian starts speaking. And he's like, oh, I'm talking to my friends. And Bondi's like, you can speak? That's weird. That's suspicious. Something's going on there. And then Ustad, because he just gets lured around. He's in the house. Again, if Ustad was minding his business, if he was at home, knowing this family is being haunted, I guess he believed in Allah a little too strongly, because he should not have been at those people's houses. He should have, something in him should have been like, go home, Ustad. But Ustad's there and he's up and about. And he hears some noises, so he goes to check it out himself quietly without saying anything. And he gets got. I don't know how exactly he got, but you just see him later, like covered in blood, like he's been stabbed, and he's done. He's done. Ustad is done. He's another casualty because he had the audacity to be involved with his family. And so he was the first person to get killed by the zombies, basically. Okay. So I was wrong. So I had to look this up. I wanted to look this up. They are zombies to me, but they're in Indonesian culture are called Pocong, and they look like the deceased person wrapped in the cloth that they're usually wrapped in. And that's what they were seeing. They thought that they were seeing the mother's ghost, but they weren't actually seeing the mother's ghost. It was just something that looked like the mother's ghost. And the same thing among the Pocong. Yep, among the Pocong who come through, one of them is Hendra wrapped in cloth, but it's not actually him. It just looks like him. But yes, they killed Ustad. He should have been home. I know that it's like they feel good for him to be there and have his presence, and he can like help keep watch and like all that stuff. But nah. So all of this is happening. I think Rennie randomly wakes up in the middle of the night. She doesn't know anything's going on. She finally reads Budaman's letter. And in Budaman's letter, it says that the reason that the cult takes the child is because the child that turns 7, the last child to turn 7, is actually Satan's child. And that's why the cult comes. They come to retrieve him, basically. They really not taking him. They are retrieving their own thing. Because as it turns out, that's why Ian is all of a sudden talking and giggling and laughing. Whereas before, Ian was genuinely afraid of all the other scary stuff that was going on. But now he's 7 and he is like demon child. He's talking, he's walking around, he's totally cool, comfortable. He's not in danger at all. Everybody else is. And then the whole family gets on alert and they're all running around. The doors are slamming. They're trying to separate them. They're all trying to stay together. They're running around and they end up all in the same room. Bari, Bondi, Rennie, and Tony. Just realized that everybody's name ends with an E except for Ian. Ian's name starts with an E. And they're like hiding from what they think is the ghostly presence of their mother. But then they see out the crack of the door, Ian walking down the stairs looking chill. He having a good old time. He laughing, he giggling, he walking down the stairs, and right behind him is what they think is, I guess, to be the Pocong. I'm saying this like pecan pie, but the Pocong of Mortuary, their mother, the same ghost that had been attacking all of them. And he walks out with them, and he's outside now with all of the Pocong and like some of the people. And Bari's like, they go out and they thinking that they want to get to him, but they find it really suspicious that he's standing with all of these dead people, talk about, come on, Dad, come on out. We ain't gonna jump you. Come on out. We ain't gonna do nothing. Come on. And Rennie's like, get your dumb ass back in the house. Get in the house. No. We can't do this. And there's literally this moment of these Pocong. They're like banging on the doors. They're trying to get into them because they're finally closing doors. And they see in the mirror that the ghost of their grandmother is actually the one who's holding the door back. Because I was like, They got in the house pretty easily. I don't think these doors is actually stopping them. I don't think it's locks on these doors. The reason that they were struggling to get through the door was because her ghost was holding the door and trying to stop them and buying them time. So literally, Budaman breaks into the house from through the other door, grabs them, say, let's go, get in the car right now. And as he's trying to start up the car, because of course the car got a stutter as they trying to get away to build up more tension, he explains to them that Ian is not their son. He never was. He was Satan's child. And then they drive off. What I want to talk about is the twist. I appreciate everything this story did in terms of foreshadowing and building up things and building up the scares all the way up until it gets to the twist. Because for them to say Ian was never their child, meaning he's been Satan's child the whole time, it's just not, the math is just not mathing for me. It's not mathing for me because I would like to believe, the way I understood the movie that I was watching, is that he was normal like everybody else until his 7th birthday hit. Because then when the 7th birthday hit, he was the last child. Similar to how Bondi was scared to be the last person walking away from his mother's grave to go past that 49th step, I think it's a similar situation. And Tony called out the ages of everybody. Rennie's 22, he's 16, Bondi is 10. Every time the child got close to being 7, Mortuary had another child, as if she was trying to avoid losing any of her children. She didn't want any of her children to be the last child. So she had another child pretty much every 6 years or so because she didn't want them to come and take them. So I guess if you want to explain that Ian was never a child, I guess you could say that, as Ian got closer to 7, instead of her being able to have another child, she just got sick and died. And maybe the cult is the reason that she got sick and died. You could say that. You can say that Ian, I just have a hard time believing the entire time Ian was like that because of his acting was so good. His acting was so good. And you know how in the movies, when people are in movies acting in the movie, like not the actor acting, but the character is acting, they make the acting a little bit worse just so you can tell that they're acting. So, but I will say there were some moments where Bondi was genuinely scared of stuff like the ghost that might have been, or the zombies that might have been in the cemetery, or when they were actually accosted by the Pocong of Mortuary, and Rennie was like, did you see it? Because Bondi was like, we saw a ghost. And Rennie was like, did you see a ghost, Ian? And Ian was like, no, I didn't see the ghost. But I'm not sure. And there's also this part, and I would say that I saw this on an explained video. So I would say that I did not catch this. I saw this on an explained video where they point out that not every time you saw a ghost on screen, it wasn't always Mortuary. Sometimes the ghost was the grandma, Rama. Now, if you take that and you say that Rama, the night before everything went to shit, when the cult was outside and there was all types of happenings happening around the house and everybody was terrified, that the ghost that was actually attacking him at that time was Rama, which could make sense because Rama was very close to Ian. She had a really close relationship with him. Now it's possible with the fact that she had a relationship with Budaman that she knew that Ian was destined to be Satan's child or was already Satan's child. It just seems a little bit weird that they would have like such a cute relationship if she knew he was Satan's child. But after she died, there were times, the only times that Ian was in danger was with Ranma. When Ian was out by himself and there was a ghost trying to climb through the little closet to get towards him and he was struggling to get away, it was pointed out in an explained video that was actually Rama, not Mortuary's ghost, but say that, not Mortuary's ghost, because Mortuary's ghost would have no reason to attack Ian because Ian is Satan's child. Just like at the end, you see that they're walking together, they're holding hands. So there would be no reason for him to be in danger from her. He was in danger from Rama. Then there was a moment in where everything was going crazy when the Rama's wheelchair was thrown directly at Bari's head. And that wasn't Mortuary, because at no point did Mortuary, she wasn't really throwing stuff around. That was Rama's ghost. And later you see she's the one that's actually holding the door and stopping the Pocong from getting in to get at them. So I thought it's very interesting. And it also makes me think that the ghost that was telling Bondi that he needed to kill Ian wasn't Mortuary or wasn't someone from the cult. It was Rama. Because if Ian killed him before he turned 7, then, I don't know, that might break whatever curse that they had on the family. But Rama was the one who was telling Bondi that he had to kill him, because the cult would have no reason to want Ian to die. They would have no reason to get the family to voluntarily give him up, because the family doesn't need to voluntarily give him up. His ass would get up and walk out the front door his damn self. So it's really interesting, because it changes how you see Rama. Rama, it was always just kind of there. She's like the old grandma. She's there and then she dies and you think that she's just a casualty. But in reality, her ghost plays a much larger part, but you don't notice that in the beginning because of the fact that you're so caught up on the Mortuary's Pocong and how it's doing, it's something evil going on that's trying to break up the family. But I thought it was very, very interesting. But this is my first video talking about a horror movie. And just because really I recently watched Satan's Slave, so I wanted to talk about it. And I did also recently watch Communion. I want to talk about it. So that's why, I chose this movie. But it's hard. It's hard because I don't write scripts. I don't write scripts for my videos. So I just be talking. I just be saying stuff. And that's why I said this should not be a replacement for actually watching the movie, because no. There is a little after credits about 1 year later that they try to give you this little build up that things probably aren't over. I don't really think it's that important. Especially after watching the sequel, Satan's Slave's Communion. This end credit still ain't that important. So it's not really it doesn't really mean anything but when 3 comes out, I'm sure it will mean something then. But right now it doesn't mean something, so I ain't really no point talking about it. But it's just a thing of like, ooh, their neighbors actually in the cult. And it's like, but they don't actually really play a part in the sequel either. So I don't care about it that much. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about today. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.